Okay, so this is insulating the door with sheep's wool. I've already stuffed some sheep wool down in here, and I'm going to cut out a piece that will fit in this whole area without compromising the cables that are opening the door. At least that's what my hope is. I look at all this space and I think of secret compartments that could be made here, but maybe someday. Everything I'm doing in this van should be reversible. It's all screws. All right, so now this is a bat of this, and it seems that I could put 1.5 in here. And the smell isn't bad. It definitely has a smell to it, which they assure will dissipate, and others have assured that it dissipates, but it's not a bad smell, at least not to me. And now this, I should be able to pull in half. I don't know where half is, so I'm going to estimate. Oops, that's probably not it. Let's try there. Maybe that's not it either. I'm going to go back. Well, it got thinner as I went to the other end. And now I will put this 2-inch deep piece on top. And then I'm going to try and very carefully put it in the hole. But I may have changed my mind about putting it on at the same time. I'm going to just take this piece. Oh, I have to stuff back in there first. So compressing it is easy. I just have to be careful not to. There are drain holes at the bottom of this door. That any water that does get in this door is going to be able to drain out. And when that happens, from everything I've read, the Havelock wool will get wet. It absorbs water, but then it also lets go of water. I guess kind of like your hair does. And it doesn't hold the water. And if you let it breathe by not plugging up all those holes, that's good. It goes way down there. The thing that amazes me is how many times a day I have to vacuum this van, because there's either sawdust everywhere from doing something, or now there's little sheep wool hairs. I'll show you them in a minute. They just are everywhere. They break off, I guess, from ripping this apart. So I'm trying to fill the lower crevices, so when I put that piece in it, it meets it, and then I have a good heat barrier. Okay, and then I will put the stuff in from the top for the next layer. Okie dokie. So I'm going to put this behind the wire. The beauty of this stuff is it's not fiberglass. You don't have to wear a mask. It doesn't choke you. I don't think. The edges of this metal can get very sharp, so I really should have gloves on. But I'm not keen on working with gloves. I'm going to put the original cover back on this and just go with the black on the bottom and then my white paneling on the top. And I'm just going to keep going around to these things, but I want to show you the debris of the sheep's wool that is laying in my little gutter here. So this will require vacuuming again several times today and I wonder, I guess breathing in those particles isn't supposed to be there, but that's kind of weird. So while insulating this slider door, I have to be careful of these moving parts. There's a moving part here that when I open the door, it will end up being compromised if I have all of this wool stuffed in it. So I am making this piece of foam board to put in there and to securely tape to the side. I don't want to glue because I don't want anything permanent in there in case it needs to be fixed. So now I have this totally taped up because I needed the tape to stick to itself, since I don't know whether or not the tape will stick to this permanently, but I do know it'll stick to itself, as this is used to wrap ductwork. It's metal tape. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to push it up in here. And it should hold, but with all the slamming of the doors, it is eventually going to move. So I'm going to tape this in place so that it cannot move. Of course, that means in there I can't have any insulation, but it's the price you pay for moving parts. So that fits going across it, and then this piece is going to fit going down. And I'm going to tape it up to the side of the van to hope that it doesn't fall. Plus, you see there's a light coming in there, so from the outside I just may caulk that with some silicone. So now with that piece in place, it's not going anywhere, it's tight, and I can insulate above it, and then I will put the piece in front of it. So what I'm going to do is I wanted to put insulation the entire way above that ridge. So I'm going to stuff it in here and get it to go the entire way back to there. And to do that, I'm going to use a string with a nut on it, and I'm going to pull it through here with a magnet. We'll see how that goes. So it did not work. Putting this nut, which is able to be attracted by a magnet, the steel is just too thick to be able to pull it along. If I get a stronger magnet, I won't be able to pull it anyway. So I'm going to try little hooks going into each of these openings to pull. So actually a stronger magnet did work, or does work it seems, but I'm just going to have to touch up the scratches it's going to make on the metal. Not a big deal. No, it didn't. It simply scratched it. Back to the hook. So I'm actually using this little grabber device that I am putting in the hole, going over it smoothly. application. This is difficult to do with one hand. So now it's in that hole, coming out that hole. I'm going to grab this. With this little, I press the button over here, and I'm going to grab the nut with it. Like such. And then I can just as if I'm not standing on the string. And now I will press the button to let this go, and I'll do the last one. Now that I have the string going from one side of the other to the sliding door, I'm going to tie on a batting, a strip of batting, and I'm just going to pull it through that top. So I've tied off the batting with a slip knot without too much ahead of it so that it doesn't jam up in here. And now I will fish this up in here, and then I will pull it from the other side. And I have to use two hands. So I just realized that after I pulled it the whole way through, and now I'm going to pull it back out, that this isn't just this, it goes the whole way up. This piece of this is not big enough. I need something much wider to fill up to the very top. So I'm going to cut this one off and pull a bigger one through. And success, I got a huge piece up in there, and it's definitely going the whole way to the top. And then it comes out here, and I will stuff this side. And then I'm going to put a big well, first I'm going to put that block in the lower part of that. And then I will be done this part of the window after stuffing 1.5 bats up there. So this is the block to not interfere with the mechanicals, and it's not going anywhere. It's solid there. I have it secured with this tape, which will have paneling on top of it. And now I'm going to stuff this hole. So I put some over here, but I also realized that I've got a column here that I have to insulate with the mechanicals in here. So I think since I can't get in there to put a block above this, I'm going to measure, and I'm going to bring insulation down, which will just hang there. I won't let it go any further by having it lay across this here. So it won't just be able to keep settling down, hopefully, and clog up that handle part. But I'm going to put a block in here so that as I slam the door every time, my insulation doesn't go and hit the front. So I put Reflectix on top of all of that sheep's wool. And then I put Reflectix down here at the bottom. And now I'm filling this in, but I have to be careful about these mechanics in here, which belong to the doorknob. So I put some styrofoam in here. I'm going to wrap it with the foil tape and make sure that it's secure so it does not move. That'll keep insulation from this section into shoving forward every time I slam the door, I'm hoping. I now have a block secure in there, and it's not going anywhere unless this metal tape melts. And there's the right side all finished. This side yet to go. I will smooth that all out as I put the Reflectix on it. So yeah, whereas the Havelock wool does not make you itch and It's pleasant to work around. I definitely am wearing a mask now because all of this stuff that is just floating around in the air when you're ripping it apart has made me start to cough, and it may not be long-term damage, but it's uncomfortable, so I'm wearing a mask while I'm working with it. So there's my bottom doors done of the sliding door, and I'm going to put the black panel back on down there at the bottom, and that's what I'm going with. So this is the black panel that came with the van, and I had taken it off with this handy upholstery or auto upholstery removal tool. On these, you just put your tool not under the bottom, but underneath the little there's a little crevice around it, and these are like pop-ups. So they pull off, and then they're sticking out, and you can just pull it off. So that said, it looks like I have to remove this piece of foil because it's going to be sticking out. And I don't want it sticking out anyplace else. Putting these connectors back in is very simple. You simply line this up with the hole. Can't do it with one hand. Now I've lost it. I'll have to get it later. But this has to be raised. And then you just pop it in the hole and it's locked. Easy peasy. The best way to put these back so you don't close them before it locks into the hole is to use your tool, and put it in like this, and then you can use the tool to push it in the hole, and then you can lock it.